New Orleans Saints added another wide receiver to their roster. This time around, it's Bub Means from Pitt. What are the Saints going to get? What do we expect from them? Let's talk about it right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Huda Nation? Welcome back inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rosvoglu, and as always, we're brought to you by Scott Fickner, Injury Lawyers, and Crystal. So the Saints had another fifth-round pick. This time, they decided to use it on a wide receiver, as I mentioned at the top, Bub Means, from Pitt. So this is an interesting pick. I don't know if we can expect him to make an impact in 2024. My guess would probably be no, assuming that most of your receiving core stays healthy, because you have Chris Olave, you have Rashid Shaheed, you hope A.T. Perry takes that next step, and you also signed a vet in Cedric Wilson. And I won't rule out the Saints maybe adding one more vet in free agency, especially when the comp pick formula doesn't factor into all this. What I will say about Bub Means, though, is he's the type of receiver that makes sense for the Saints right now. I don't think you think about replacing players that you've had for a while as like you need that prototype. Like, for example, I don't think the Saints losing Michael Thomas means you need another Michael Thomas. And by the way, they don't make Michael Thomases very often. Those guys are one of ones. It's hard to replace those guys. But what you look for, I think, are certain traits. And what I would say about Bub Means that I like is that he will give you contested catches over the middle of the field. I think the Saints need that. He'll give you those yards after the catch, average over 17 yards per reception in his final season at Pitt. And I think those are good qualities for the Saints to get in a receiver. So I think that's what you're looking at, because I've said this before, Chris Olave is more of that route technician guy. Rashid Shaheed can really take the top off of the defense. You know that speed just is incredible, but you also want a more physical guy. Obviously, A.T. Perry, you know he's got the frame. The guy is huge, but I think you add in Bub Means, he's going to make those tough catches. Good frame too at 6'2". And it's not just that he has the good frame at 6'2". It's also that he's pretty fast. I mean, this is a guy who at that height ran in the 4.4s. I believe it was a 4.43 in the 40-yard dash. So this guy knows how to use his frame. I'm not going to say this is a home run of a pick, because I'd be lying. We got to see how these guys play. We don't know if it's going to translate to NFL success. But what I can say is this is exactly the type of guy that you take in the fifth round. I think the value is pretty good. And I think that it doesn't hurt to add another receiver, especially because the Saints are getting young in that position. I like it because Olave, Shaheed, A.T. Perry, now Bub Means. I feel good about Olave being a 1. You feel like he's going to pop. If another one of these guys turns into a big-time player, and I think Shaheed is trending in that direction, you got something cooking in the receiving corps. So Saints needed a receiver. They do just that. Now they have a couple more picks on day 3. Maybe they can attack defensive tackle, maybe offensive line again, maybe safety. Who knows, even punter. We'll see how this all goes out. But I think Bub Means fits a position of need, has qualities that the Saints will like. And again, 6'2", runs a 4.43. You'll work with that. Now you just try to coach them up and make them an even better player. So we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments section below how you guys feel about the pick. Do you like it? Are you indifferent about it? Do you not like it? Comment below. And we'll be back soon because the Saints are about to be on the clock once again.